The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Manchester, mirroring the tempest brewing inside me. My name is Barnaby, and until a few weeks ago I thought I had it all: a loving wife, a comfortable home, and a fulfilling career as a freelance graphic designer. I'm 44. I met Elowen 7 years ago at a local art exhibition. She was vibrant, full of life, and had a smile that could melt glaciers. We fell hard and fast, and within a year we were married. Our life together was a tapestry woven with shared dreams, quiet evenings, and the comfortable rhythm of two souls deeply connected. Or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared subtly. Elowen, a dedicated teacher at a primary school, started working late more often. Extra tutoring, she'd explain, her eyes a little too bright, her voice a little too strained. I didn't suspect anything at first. I trusted her implicitly. Trust was the bedrock of our relationship, the foundation upon which we'd built our life together. Then came the phone calls. Whispered conversations late at night, the phone quickly silenced when I entered the room. When I asked, she'd brush it off. Just a colleague, she'd say, her gaze averted. But unease began to gnaw at me, a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. The final blow came unexpectedly, brutally. I was working from home one Tuesday, wrestling with a particularly challenging design brief. Elowen had told me she had a staff meeting after school. Around 6 p.m., I decided to surprise her with dinner. I knew her meetings usually wrapped up by then, and I thought a quiet meal together would be nice. I arrived at her school, a charming Victorian building nestled in a quiet residential street. The parking lot was mostly empty, save for a few cars. I walked towards the main entrance, my heart light with anticipation. As I approached the staff room, I heard voices. One was Elowen's, soft and melodic as always. The other was a man's, deeper, more resonant. Curiosity piqued, I peered through the small window in the door. What I saw shattered my world. Elowen was locked in a passionate embrace with a man I vaguely recognized as Gareth, a fellow teacher. Their lips were fused, their bodies pressed together in a way that left no room for doubt. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. The blood drained from my face, leaving me cold and numb. My breath hitched in my throat and a wave of nausea washed over me. This couldn't be happening, not to me, not to us. I stumbled back away from the window, my legs feeling like lead. The image of Elowen and Gareth seared itself into my mind, a brand that would forever mark my soul. I couldn't face her. Not yet. Instead, I drove home, my mind reeling. I parked the car, walked into our house, and went straight to our bedroom. I needed answers, some explanation, anything to make sense of the chaos that had erupted in my life. I started searching. I know it was wrong, a violation of her privacy, but I was desperate. I rifled through her drawers, her closet, her handbag. Nothing. Then I remembered her laptop. It was usually password protected, but I knew she sometimes left it unlocked. My hands trembling, I opened the laptop. It was unlocked. I navigated to her email account, a knot of dread tightening in my stomach. What I found there confirmed my worst fears. A series of emails, passionate and explicit, between Elowen and Gareth. They had been having an affair for months. I read through the emails, each word a fresh wound. They talked about their stolen moments together, their secret rendezvous, their longing for each other. They mocked me, calling me oblivious and naive. The betrayal was complete, absolute. I felt a surge of anger, hot and primal. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at someone, anyone. But beneath the anger was a deeper, more profound sadness. The woman I loved, the woman I had built my life with, had betrayed me in the most profound way imaginable. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, replaying the events of the day over and over in my mind. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just sat there, staring into the darkness, trying to make sense of it all. The next morning, Elowen came home, her face flushed, her eyes bright. She greeted me with a kiss, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. "How was your day?" she asked, her voice cheerful. I stared at her, my heart aching with a mixture of love and loathing. "I know," I said, my voice flat. "I know about you and Gareth." Her face paled, her eyes widened in disbelief. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, her voice trembling. "Don't lie to me, Elowen," I said, my voice rising. "I saw you. I read your emails." "I know everything." She burst into tears, collapsing onto the sofa. "Barnaby, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen." "How could you?" I asked, my voice thick with emotion. "How could you do this to me, to us?" She didn't have an answer. She just kept crying, repeating "I'm sorry" over and over again. I couldn't bear to look at her. I turned and walked out of the house, leaving her there alone with her guilt. The following weeks were a blur. We separated. The divorce proceedings began. The life we had built together crumbled into dust. I moved out of our house and into the small apartment I now called home. I was a shell of my former self. I lost weight. I couldn't sleep. I struggled to concentrate on my work. The pain of Elowen's betrayal was a constant companion, a shadow that followed me everywhere I went. I confided in my friend Griffin, a pragmatic and supportive colleague, about what happened. He listened patiently, offering words of comfort and advice. "You need to focus on yourself, Barnaby," he said. "You need to heal. You need to move on." Easier said than done. But I knew he was right. I couldn't let Elowen's betrayal define me. I had to find a way to rebuild my life, to reclaim my happiness. I started seeing a therapist. She helped me process my emotions, to understand the complexities of betrayal, and to develop coping mechanisms. It was a long and difficult process, but slowly, gradually, I began to heal. I also threw myself into my work. I took on new projects, pushing myself creatively. It was a welcome distraction, a way to channel my energy into something positive. One day, Griffin approached me with a proposition. "There's a new graphic design company starting up in Bristol," he said. "They're looking for a lead designer. I think you'd be perfect for the job." Bristol was a long way from Manchester, a fresh start in a new city. The thought of leaving everything behind was daunting but also exciting. It was an opportunity to reinvent myself, to leave the pain of the past behind. I decided to take the plunge. I applied for the job, and to my delight I got it. I packed my bags, said goodbye to my friends, and moved to Bristol. Life in Bristol was different. The pace was slower, the people were friendlier, and the scenery was stunning. I loved exploring the city, discovering its hidden gems, and immersing myself in its vibrant culture. The job was challenging but rewarding. I worked with a talented team of designers, and I quickly established myself as a valuable asset to the company. I felt a sense of purpose again, a sense of accomplishment. I also started dating. It was tentative at first, awkward and uncertain. But slowly, I began to open myself up to the possibility of love again. I met some wonderful women, each with their own unique qualities. One of them was Clementine, a kind and compassionate woman who worked as a librarian. We bonded over our shared love of books, art, and long walks in the countryside. She was a breath of fresh air, a ray of sunshine in my life. Clementine was understanding and patient with my past. She never pried, but she was always there to listen when I needed to talk. She helped me to heal the remaining wounds from Elowen's betrayal, to let go of the anger and resentment that I had been holding onto for so long. One evening, as we were walking along the harbor, Clementine stopped and took my hand. "Barnaby," she said, her eyes sparkling in the moonlight, "I care about you very much. I think we could have something special together." I looked at her, my heart swelling with emotion. "I feel the same way, Clementine," I said. "I think I'm falling in love with you." She smiled, a radiant, beautiful smile. "Then let's see where this goes," she said, and so we did. Our relationship blossomed, growing stronger and deeper with each passing day. Clementine was everything I had ever wanted in a partner: kind, compassionate, intelligent, and loving. One afternoon, a few years after my move to Bristol, I received an unexpected phone call. It was Elowen. My heart pounded in my chest as I answered the phone. "Hello," I said, my voice trembling. "Barnaby, it's me, Elowen," she said, her voice weak and strained. I took a deep breath. "What do you want, Elowen?" I asked, my voice cold. "I need your help, Barnaby," she said, her voice cracking. "I'm in trouble." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to hang up, to shut her out of my life forever. But another part of me, the part that had once loved her so deeply, couldn't bear to see her suffer. "What kind of trouble?" I asked, my voice softening slightly. She explained that Gareth had left her for another woman. She had lost her job because of the scandal surrounding their affair. She was struggling to make ends meet, and she was facing eviction from her apartment. I listened in silence, my heart aching with a mixture of pity and resentment. She had made her choices, and now she was paying the price. But still, I couldn't bring myself to turn my back on her completely. "I'll see what I can do," I said, my voice noncommittal. I hung up the phone, my mind racing. I didn't know what to do. I talked to Clementine about it, and she listened patiently, offering her support and understanding. "It's your decision, Barnaby," she said. "But whatever you choose, I'll be there for you." After much soul-searching, I decided to help Elowen. Not because I still loved her, but because I couldn't bear to see her suffer. I contacted a lawyer who helped me set up a trust fund for her. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to help her get back on her feet. I never saw Elowen again, but I heard through mutual friends that she had turned her life around. She had found a new job, a new apartment, and a new sense of purpose. I often think about Elowen and Gareth, about the betrayal that shattered my world, but I don't dwell on it. I've learned to forgive, not for their sake, but for my own. Holding on to anger and resentment only poisons the soul. I'm now happily married to Clementine. We have a beautiful life together, filled with love, laughter, and companionship. I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned, for the challenges I've overcome, and for the love that has sustained me through it all. Betrayal is a cruel and devastating experience, but it doesn't have to define you. You can heal, you can move on, and you can find happiness again. It takes time, courage, and a willingness to forgive, but it is possible. And when you do, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before.